Femicide in Northwestern, a married woman was killed by her husband after luring her back to their matrimonial home. Pressure in the government as school feeding program is cut due to financial crisis in the country. Introducing the Dish in a County program. Artificial intelligence, or as we all know it, AI, accused of misinformation that threatens the credibility of news, public trust, and democracy. Mau Forest, also known as Kenya's crown jewel, is losing its crown jewel to encroachment and deforestation, which is at risk of biodiversity loss.
Live from the Insight Hour newsroom, my name is Atat Kashir and I welcome you to today's news stories in Kenya and around the world. Join me on Twitter at Ekashir and I'll be with you for the next 35 minutes. Thank you for joining us. This is the Insight Hour newsreel. You can join the conversation on our social media handles, Facebook at the Insight Hour, Twitter or X at Insight Hour, and the hashtag Insight Hour Now. Starting off our top story, femicide cases rising in the country over the past years. On today's top story, 24-year-old woman Justina Sempanya, who hailed from Mafumbo district in Zambia, was lured back to her matrimonial home by her husband. After a brief separation, Insight Hour News reporter Ernest Jenga with the details.
Female victim Justina Sempanya was married to Ibu Lokemano, who is the main suspect of her death. Northwestern Commanding Officer Bright Siwale stated that Ibu called his estranged wife and invited her back to their house to share utensils and bags of maize they had cultivated together as part of a peaceful divorce. But on her arrival, Ibu persuaded her to reconcile, but she refused. After a long back and forth, he finally agreed to let her go, where she requested Ibu to accompany her up to her residing residence, where her lifeless body was found the following day by Zesco grid lines.
We've seen or heard cases of femicide. So my question to you is, do you think the government is doing enough on the femicide cases rising in the country?
No. Why am I saying no? I think it was last year when we had incidences of young girls going to Airbnbs, and then the next minute you find their bodies being cut, slaughtered. People have been thrown in bushes, women specifically. And we haven't seen the government doing a lot about it. And that's why even in South Africa, we are having the purple profile pictures to be able to enact that law of having women's rights being protected. So the government isn't doing as much to be able to protect our ladies as women. They're not.
Okay, Vivian, we've seen the rise of femicide cases in the country. So my question is, what do you think the country is doing with the recent femicide cases that have been rising rapidly?
Honestly, I would say the country is doing nothing other than people just going on social media and talking about it, ranting about it, just creating awareness. I think that is the best the government, I'll say, is doing with its people. Other than that, I wouldn't say there's much the government is doing to address the femicide cases.
Okay, and do you believe the online relationships are worth whatever? Okay, are genuine in this extent? With the technology and digital media rising currently, do you think online relationships are the best option for anybody right now?
No. Online relationships are they're just risky. You can never be sure about what the other person is telling you. If not people conning you money, it's people conning you of your emotional investments. You're always at risk because you don't know this person, you don't know where this person stays, you don't know how this person looks. The person can lie about the height, the color, everything can be a lie. You'll be thinking you're dating a white person, yet you're dating someone in Kibra. Online is never, I wouldn't say it's something to go for, but for others it works. Yeah, so there are two sides of the coin.
Okay, what is the other side of the coin?
I mean, you're looking at possibly getting a white man and getting married and settling down and having kids with, mixed genes. So, yeah, why not?
And now with me is Miss Rahab Wambui, founder and psychologist at Olive and Thrive Wellness.
So my name is Wambui Rahab. First and foremost, I'm a follower of Christ. And then what I do is I'm a psychologist. And founder and psychologist according to wellness. Education background, BA, bachelor's in psychology, Egerton University, Kandura campus. Yeah, basically I'm a mom and a wife. Yeah, basically ongoing.
From a psychologist's perspective, what factors contribute to crime and violence within marriages?
All right, first of all, like the topic we're talking about today is heavy. It's important for us to acknowledge that it's triggering, it's intense because this is not just many people out there, it's people very close to you. And it's something that shouldn't be happening to anyone at all. One should die, not should be killed by their partner. It's insane. None should be experiencing violence from where they're meant to be most safe. Yeah. So you've asked what contributes to violence in a marriage. There are very, very, very many factors, but definitely mental health issues, whether it is unresolved trauma in someone's childhood or even adulthood. That's one major contributing factor. Another could be witnessing witnessing gender violence as a child. So if they were brought up in violence, if the man or the woman was brought up in an abusive home where they watch their parents, either of the parents get abused, it tends to lead to, or it tends to contribute, I think the word is contribute, to them ending up in an abusive relationship or them being abusive themselves.
Thank you for staying tuned in. Still on the Femicide domestic violence story, live on studio with me is Miss Margaret Nyambura, an advocate lawyer of the High Court of Kenya.
Hello everyone, my name is Margaret Nyambura. I am an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, and for the past 7 years my specialty has been the practice of health. There is a huge intersection between health and gender as far as the law is concerned because of the enjoyment of the rights that are related to health, and it is on this basis that I'm speaking to you today afternoon.
How would you describe the current state of femicide and domestic violence in Kenya?
Okay, so femicide is an unregulated offense, if you will ask me. For this reason, we have got a penal code that prescribes the offenses that are punishable by law, well, a certain scope of offenses which are punishable by law, and murder is a very key and capital offense, and it attracts the punishment, or rather the punishment of life imprisonment. Femicide, we have always requested, or we have always advocated for it to be a special carved out offense that is separate from murder, because not only is it killing, it is killing with the extra intent of willfully knowing that I'm killing this person because they're a woman, or because of circumstances that arise from them being woman or being female. So it is murder, but it is especially murder of women and girls. There was a surge in femicide cases in 2024, and this is the reason why there was the culmination of the End Femicide March KE in the first quarter of 2024. I think we saw about 170 women killed in Kenya. That was unprecedented. As a result, there was the movement. We saw people who are not even in the human rights movement come out, because all of us came out marching with the slogan "Stop Killing Us." There were women who are just going about their normal business, and then all of a sudden they're missing, and you find them killed, their body parts mutated, or you find that somebody went on a date, or just intimate partner violence from people who are well known to them. So this led to public outcry, and the president put together a task force on inquiry on issues of femicide. It was led by the former Deputy Chief Justice of Kenya, Dr. Nancy Barasa, a lady who is also credited for the legislation on protection against prevention of domestic violence in Kenya, a 2015 law, which we still think cannot be the full legal protection that can be given to women to prevent femicide.
Thank you so much, Ms. Margaret Nyambura, for your time and detailed information. Coming up next, pressure in the government as school feeding program is cut due to financial crisis in the country, introduces the Dish and Accounting program for the tap to eat food. Join the conversation on Twitter at Ekashare. It's our correspondent Ding Madol with the details.
Tap to Eat program is a cashless payment system developed by Food for Education for a school feeding program started by Wanyonyi, who is the founder and the CEO of non-profit organization. The Tap to Eat program is cashless NPC program in form of wristband where students eat nutritious meal at the tap of the wristband. How does this work? Parent load money into a digital wallet linked to the wristband using mobile money, and when the child taps the wristband at the meal station, the the cost of the meal is deducted from the wristband, which is both nutritious and is planned, allowing minimal food wastage. Have you heard of Tap to Eat program? Put your comments and opinions on social media handles. I was your reporter, Ding Madol, taking you back to studio.
Thank you for staying tuned in. Still on the Tap to Eat news story. Live on studio with me is Mr. Prince Seni, an economic analyst. Welcome, Mr. Prince. Without wasting more time, how would you access the additional county program in the context of Kenya's current fiscal pressures?
First of all, thank you for having me. How I would assess the additional county program is by first looking at the state of the country in terms of its fiscal state. And right now we are sitting on 12 trillion Kenya shillings worth of debt, which is $93 billion. And it has grown by $1 trillion every year, 3 trillion in the past 3 years, which is a problem because if it continues that way, it will be in an unsustainable level. And right now it's even revealed that we're spending, out of every revenue that the government collects, we're spending 63% to pay down or pay up our debt, which is not very, very good. And as a result, things like government projects like the housing projects will not be able to be done. Roads will not be built, hospitals will not be built because there'll be just not enough left. And when it comes to the in a county program, it's very good. It basically involves feeding children in public schools who cannot afford to eat, and as a result, the enrollment in some schools, it started in 2023, and the past 2 years, some schools have even seen enrollment double. Right, and as a result, even though the children who are already there, they have been more attentive in class because let's say they were just eating a banana for breakfast or lunch. Now they're eating a more balanced diet, and their memory retention has been increased as a result. So it's been very good. Right, we've seen 300,000 students being fed on a daily basis in school across 230 public schools, and I can see how fiscally it can be a problem. Nairobi, it is a Nairobi county program. Nairobi generates on its own 16 billion a year, and the food program costs them 2 billion a year. So I can see how that might be a problem. However, I can see just like the January 2003 free education program that was introduced by the third president of Kenya, Kibaki, the late. It basically increased the GDP by 220% in the next 10 years by 2013 January. The schools going students went from 6 billion to 9 billion in 10 years as a result. So if it basically continues this way with the food program, the 2 billion a year, I can definitely see the same economic impact, because in 10 years, those children who are benefiting today are going to be able to apply for jobs because of the better education that they've gotten, and the economy will benefit from more people, more youth working, because right now the youth unemployment rate is sitting at 63%, which is not good.
How might social programs affect inflation, local food markets, or taxation policy?
Well, that's a very good question. It definitely will have an impact because if parents are spending only 5 shillings a plate, the government is subsidizing the rest on their children. That means they have a lot of money to spend on other things. So for example, if before they were budgeting for food and it was like 40% of what they earn, and right now it can even go down to even less than 10%, and that difference of 30%, they can maybe even buy more food. Maybe they weren't eating enough of a balanced diet before, or maybe they can spend on other things that are necessities like clothes. They can even go out to eat, treat themselves once in a while every Sunday, right? As a result, transportation sector, because of the transportation that will arise, we'll definitely see a net benefit from new customers and an increase in customers. Local food markets, like I said, if they want to buy more food, we'll definitely see a rise in customers, see a rise in revenue. There will be a rise in also taxation because these businesses will be taxed. The transportations, the matatus will be paying taxes, and if they get an increase in revenue, that means the government will get an increase in taxation, and that taxation might be going to projects like the housing project that the president likes to focus on, and also even increasing the food program that is currently only focused on formal public schools can be even going to informal.
Thank you so much, Mr. Prince, for your time edited information. Coming up after the break, more forests at risk for biodiversity loss from encroachment. Stay tuned to not miss out. Welcome back. For those who are joining us, welcome. Our social media handles at Facebook at the Insight Hour, Twitter or X, Insight Hour, and the hashtag Insight Hour now. Mau Forest, Kenya's crown jewel, is at risk from biodiversity loss because of logging and misuse of resources, leading to its ecological importance and destruction of endangered species and animals like the Bongo antelope. This Insight Hour news reporter, Isako Kushi, with more details.
Thank you, Antoinette. Kenya's largest montane forest and a critical water tower for East Africa is at risk for biodiversity loss with increased threats of illegal logging, encroachment, and unsustainable land use practices. Mau Forest is home to indigenous trees and species like cedar, acacia, bongo, antelopes, Kenyan elephants, and hundreds of bird species. With me, some of the people's opinion on the same.
Do you think the government is making change to the illegal logging happening in the country?
According to me, I don't see the government making any change because, for example, in Mau Forest, you can see illegal logging continuing because the people who live there, they're complaining that trees are being cut and they're being transported, and yet they're receiving nothing in return. Yeah, so as much as they're trying to show us that they're making efforts in the same, I don't think they're doing so, because at the end of the day, the people's reactions or complaints, they matter. Yeah, so according to me, the government is doing little or nothing at all.
What's your opinion on deforestation?
My opinion on deforestation is not a good thing. First of all, we've seen this thing of cut one tree, plant two trees. For me, it's not a good thing. Environment has its own way of sustaining itself, whereby if a tree grows and it becomes like too old, it has a way of sustaining itself, either dying or doing whatever it wants. But cutting down of trees is not good. Considering a good example is Nairobi, where we are cutting down trees for settlement, and I don't think that's a good thing. We are making Nairobi so hot. It's no longer aesthetically pleasing. We are just seeing tall buildings. I think deforestation is not the way to go. How does the Mau Forest contribute to Kenya's water supply, biodiversity, and climate stability?
The Mau Forest is a source of water from many waterways. The water that originates from the Mau Forest feeds into the tributaries, which feed into the waterways, which we then use to sustain ourselves and other daily uses as well. So it's a source of water and sustenance for the environment and for human beings as well.
What makes this forest one of the country's most critical ecosystem?
The Mau Forest is one of the largest forests in the country. It has a vast biodiversity, and that biodiversity is very necessary for maintenance of the environment at its intrinsic value. Also, the water that comes from the Mau Forest is at a high level, which sustains so many tributaries and so many water levels in the country. So, the Mau Forest is very critical.
How have settlement patterns, agriculture, and logging contribute to forest loss?
Agriculture is good, but it has to be done in the right places. When you want to do agriculture in the forest, that means you have to clear the forest so that you have space to do agriculture. Of course, there's agroforestry, which is one of the plans which has been tried to be implemented by the government. But you have to know that not many people are familiar with agroforestry. And not many people can do it, and there's no follow-up from the government agencies to ensure that people are doing it. So the people who are residing within the Mau region, within the Mau forest, and those who are doing agriculture, they are clearing the forest. And when they clear the forest, they are interfering with the biodiversity within the forest. Of course, agriculture, which is being done there, can be small scale or large scale. But you have to remember that large scale agriculture also has its own negative impacts. In as much as you are cutting down forest, the impacts of large scale agriculture in a forest area is that it can lead to soil compaction. And when you compact the soil, you are destroying the composition of the soil because you're interfering with the habitats of the organisms which are living in the soil. In other words, you're killing the organisms, and also you're interfering with the layers of the soil.
Okay.
So it cannot be used any further. After you've destroyed the environment, you can not reclaim it.
So, what environmental consequences has deforestation in Mau caused so far?
Well, the environmental consequences are there to see. The water levels are receding at a very alarming rate. You see, these water levels have to have a source which refills the water levels. In as much as much of these water levels are draining into the ocean. The water that comes through the Mau forest is clean water or fresh water. Fresh water which can be consumed. Once it drains into the ocean, it's no longer fit for consumption because it becomes salty. So there's a huge reduction in fresh water sources due to the destruction of the source of this water level, of these water sources. So the levels are reducing, there's no refilling, destruction, some of the waterways are drying up. And there's also some interference in the rainfall patterns as well.
Thank you so much for joining me on today's news story. For those who are just joining us, this is the Insight News Hour. Join the conversation on Twitter at Ekashiro. On to our next story. Artificial intelligence AI is accused of fueling a new generation of misinformation that threatens the credibility of news, public trust, and even democracy. Since the June 2024 Gen Z protests, social media has been accused of relaying false information through fake images and videos. Insight Hour news correspondent Rafael Mutuku with the details.
Thank you, Antoinette. Intimidation and growing concern within the government circles as politicians accuse sections of the youth of misusing AI to create and share false information online. The rise of AI-generated content has sparked alarm, with fake images, videos, and increasingly circulating on the social media platforms such as X, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, often targeting politicians, members of Kenya's elite. According to the Communications Authority of Kenya, more than 60% of the Kenyans have encountered false or misleading information in the online or in the past year. Officials say that this trend poses a serious threat to public trust, political stability, and the integrity of digital communication. Experts warn that these AI tools become more advanced and accessible as the danger of manipulated content spreads rapidly, continues to grow unless strong regulations, digital literacy programs are put into place. For now, the government faces the challenges of balancing innovation and controlling to ensure technology empowers rather than deceives a generation increasingly shaped by the digital world. It is I, Rafael Mutuku, reporting live.
My name is Maurice Mugai and I major in computer science.
Okay, Maurice, what steps do you personally take to stay safe online?
Being careful with what I search and what I share or what I receive from another person, or using strong passwords, using two-factor authentication. Yeah.
On studio with me is Mr. Matthew Mwakoma, an AI analyst.
My name is Matthew. First, thanks for having me. My name is Matthew Mwakoma, and I'm currently the Business Executive Manager here at CyberPro, Daystar University, and also CQO, which is Chief Quality Officer, in charge of ensuring that all our trainings are there to quality assurance and AI policies that have been set, and they meet the required security measures that also have been provided. And also, I did actuarial science here at Daystar University. I graduated here, and I did my master's also, and I'm also into cybersecurity digital space. I did cybersecurity and AI, and I'm currently also training cybersecurity and AI. Yes.
What exactly is AI-generated misinformation, and how does it differ from traditional fake news?
You see, AI-generated misinformation, this is false content that is generated by AI tools. You see, videos, images. Unlike the traditional one, this one is, we can say it's handwritten, manually written, and it is easy to detect compared to AI-generated, which, of course, it's not easy to verify. Yeah.
How easy is it today for someone without technical training to create AI-generated fake content such as deepfakes or fabricated news articles?
I can say nowadays it's extremely easy, because you see now everyone can access these tools online. Unlike long time ago, you need technical background, you need coding to do it, to edit these videos. But nowadays you can go to Play Store, you can download the tools with good internet and good smartphone or laptop. You're good to go. So it's extremely easy nowadays.
And what are some of the latest AI-based tools or techniques being developed to detect and stop misinformation?
Okay, like currently that we are using, I was using Google Lens, which uses reverse mechanism, image reverse mechanism, whereby now you can detect if this image is altered or interfered with. We also have Microsoft Authenticator. This deals with videos. Now you can verify if this video is correct, or maybe it was altered or tampered with. Yes.
Let's bring the family together for breakfast. Whatever they're having, they all love the great taste and smooth creaminess of Nutella. Delicious on porridge. It goes great on toast.
So good on fruit.
I like young crumpets.
Nutella, always better together.